Shabbat Shalom
Shabbanukkah Shalom.
and Chag Sameach. It is so joyous and wonderful to see you all here. And tonight we are going to be treated to some beautiful voices from some of the children of our community. We have musicians joining us. We're so grateful to everybody who's here with us. Aiden was just jamming with the band. Thank you for joining on the sax.
Woo.
We're going to be lighting the Hanukkah candles. And so what we're going to do is invite anybody. Tonight was, as you might have seen in the weekly email, BYOH or BYOC or BYOChet. It depends on how you spell it. Bring your own Chanukiah. Many of you did bring your own Chanukiah. So we're going to invite everybody who is going to do the lighting Cantor. We're going to have them all come back here. We have staff here to help. And we have fire extinguishers at the ready. Should we need them, hope we won't. But come on back, we're gonna light the Chanukiah, and we're gonna bring in Hanukkah and Shabbat. Let's all stand up. Come on, stand up. Our service is going to continue on page 24. Thank you, everybody, for lighting our Chanukiot. You can come sit down. And just a few words before we begin, or as we continue, I should say. So first of all, we're so glad we see so many children here with us. You're always welcome to come and be with us. We do have childcare if you feel like you need a break, and that goes for grown-ups too. If you feel like you need a break, check yourself into childcare. I think we're serving juice and single malt. So you can go anytime you need to. We're going to have a story later on that's appropriate for all ages. But one thing that we'd really like to ask your help with, so if you could just listen for a second, is we're trying really hard to not have phones in use in the sanctuary. So if you feel like you need to take a photo, go into the lobby. There might be some people out there you would want to take pictures of. But if you want to take photos inside during services, please don't. Even if it's your kid up here singing, I know, you think, oh, what will I do if I can't go back to this photo? What about the photo in your mind? Remember that, kids, when we used to have those? So put your phones away. We don't want to hear them. We don't want you to use them. But we do have a wonderful guy in the back, Alex, there. Thank you, Alex, who is making sure that people at home can watch on our live stream. And immediately after the service, you can run home. Cantor does this every week. He runs home and he watches the service one more time on the big screen at home, don't you?
I focus on certain things, yes.
And then he calls me after Shabbat, and he says, how did I do? How did I look? How was I? And it's always the same, except every week a little better. Always the same, but just a little bit better every week. Okay, so Shalom Aleichem. We welcome the Sabbath together. And what page is that on, Cantor? It is on page 24. Page 24, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bo'achem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bo'achem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bo'achem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitkhem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitkhem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitkhem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Now we're going to light the Shabbat candles. We have a special treat, which is we have our visitors who are here from Lithuania and from Israel, all of our Tel Aviv participants. This is now the 5th year? The 7th year. I'm doing Hanukkah counting. You divide everything by 8, and then add 1, and then carry the 3, and then you get to 7. That's exactly right. 7 years, and our dear friend Andrea Gardenauer is back with us. I want to invite all of the Tel Aviv participants to rise. So if you're part of the Tel Aviv contingent from Lithuania, or from Tel Aviv, or from Los Angeles, so Tel Aviv, stay standing, and then we're going to invite all of your leaders. So Olga and Teresa, come this way, Vilma and Andrea, and they're going to light our Shabbat candles. Let's all stand up, please. We're so grateful that you're all here with us, and we're one big mishpacha, one big family. Wherever we come from in the Jewish world, we're all related, we're all connected.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של Shabbat.
You may be seated. Shabbat Shalom. We're on page 20, Lecha Dodi. We welcome the Sabbath bride.
Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. La 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Page 28, you can remain standing for Baruch Hu, our call to worship. Natalia is going to help lead us in this prayer.
ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני. המעריב ערבים.
Blessed. Our Glee Club, as part of Y School, has been gathering together every week. How many times?
We meet on Wednesdays at lunch.
Every Wednesday lunchtime. If you're free, you can come check it out. It's amazing. And this week, our very own Charlene is going to lead us in Shema, and she's a member of our Glee Club, and we're so proud of her. Thank you for helping us to pray these words together, page 34.
The poet Walt Whitman asks us, what do we know of miracles? And I'm looking behind us at the lights of the Hanukkah and looking ahead to standing at the shores of the sea, and I think to myself, we know miracles. And then I look around and I think to myself, well, we know miracles. And so as we turn to the words of Micha Mocha, page 40, we think of the miracles in our Bayamim Hahem, in our history, Bazman Hazeh, and also in our own lives, page 40.
Neder
We think about God's sheltering presence and how we want God to spread over us the sukkah of God's peace, Sukkot Shlomo, the shelter, the sanctuary of God's peace. We're surrounded by a community. We're surrounded by family. We have some of the members of our primary choir, and we think about that sense of togetherness, that sense of wholeness, that sense of comfort and love we find when we gather together at moments like this.
Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms, oh, guide my steps and help me make each day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms, oh, guide my steps. Ufros aleinu sukkah shomecha. Ufros aleinu sukkah Guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms, oh, guide my steps and help me make each day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms, oh, guide my steps.
Thank you so much, primary choir. Well, it's almost time for our Amidah, our silent prayer. And the beautiful thing about this moment that we create for ourselves is we create space, a little bit of space in the week for us to think of things we're grateful for and to think of things we want to praise God for and think of things that we want to ask God for. So you can find our Amidah starting on page 48. Page 48. I'll ask you all to please rise. And after you've had a chance to say your Amidah silently, then you can be seated, and then we'll offer a prayer for healing together. But take a few moments. You can be guided by the words in the prayer book, or you can just add prayers of your heart and say thank you to God and ask God for the most worthy things we can imagine.
page 253, ever mindful that there are those in our congregation and those outside of our congregation who are in need of healing, we join together in the Mishaberach.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Please join me with a prayer for our country. You'll find it on the bottom of page 258. Together. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen. In a moment, we'll hear the beautiful prayer for the state of Israel. I'll never forget the first time I was in Israel. It was during the time of Hanukkah, and people displayed their Hanukkiyot on their windowsills, and everywhere you went, you were reminded of the miracle of Hanukkah. And I want to share with you a miracle that I thought about, and that is, if someone had told, there's so many miracles, the cruise of oil, etc., but if anybody had said to the Maccabee family that some 2,190 years ago, that 2,190 years later, a group of Jews would gather in Southern California, indeed all over the world, to light Hanukkiyot in commemoration of the victory and commemoration that we are here today. Of all the miracles, I think perhaps that is the greatest miracle of all. The prayer for the state of Israel, page 259.
Bashamayim, Sur Yisrael begoalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reishit Smiechat Geulateinu, Hagen, Hagen Alea, Bevrat, Bevrat, Vastreva, Ufros Alea, Alea, Sukat, ברכת שלומך, ושלח אורך ואמיתך, לראשיה, שריה ויועציה, ותקנם בעצה טובה, בעצה טובה מלפניך. אבינו שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Avinu Shebashamayim, deliver them and crown their efforts with triumph. Avinu Shebashamayim, Sur Yisrael vegoalo. Bless our land with peace, O God, and its inhabitants with lasting joy, and let us say, Amen, Amen. Avinu Shebashamayim, Sur Yisrael vegoalo, barech et medinat Yisrael, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. ונאמר אמן, ונאמר
Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Thank you. There's so many Hanukkah stories, and this is a Hanukkah story that I love, and I kind of forgotten it, and then Cantor Emma reminded me of this story, and she said this would be a great story for this Hanukkah. And then I reread it, and it made me so happy. You guys remember the Hanukkah guest? Well, if it's new for you, you're going to love it. It's a story about Hanukkah, and the question that I want to ask you to think about as I tell this story is, what's the message of the story? We're not going to discuss it afterwards together as a group, but you could come and tell me what you thought the message was, or you could share it with a friend, and it is a message that would be appropriate for all ages. So, without further ado, The Hanukkah Guest by Eric Kimmel. Old Bear roused himself from his winter sleep. He yawned a gigantic yawn, and he stretched himself out, and he poked his nose outside of his den, and there was a soft blanket of deep snow all around. Spring was still a few months away. You know those bitterly cold Los Angeles winters, kids. Spring was still far off. But Old Bear wrinkled his nose, and he smelled a delicious smell. And it feels like it had been a long time since he had eaten. His empty stomach was growling. He shook himself all over, and he decided to go out of his den and follow the delicious smell. Well, Baba Bryna, it's okay. I know. That's how he was feeling. He was so hungry. Baba Bryna had just taken the last potato pancake from the pan, and she put it in the oven with all of the others, and the latkes were going to stay warm in the oven until all of her guests came. And Baba Bryna, she was 97 years old, and she'd gotten to an age where it was hard for her to see. She could barely see a thing, but she knew where everything was in her kitchen so she could cook. And she could barely hear. It was hard for her to hear, but she was so excited to be able to invite people over for Hanukkah dinner. It was one of the highlights of her year. She always made so many latkes, and this year she made extra portions. She was so excited because she had a special guest coming for Hanukkah. The rabbi was going to come and visit. And she put on a special apron, and she set the table, and she filled a bowl with nuts that they could use when they played the dreidel game. And her cat came running out and rubbed up against her ankles as she worked in the kitchen making her latkes. One last thing to prepare before the rabbi came for the special visit. She prepared her Chanukiah, and she put all of the candles in the Chanukiah. And just then she heard a knock at the door. We could do a better sound effect on that. Maybe a knock at the door. Jeff, do you mind? Help me out here. Come on. So much better. I'm so lucky. I'm the luckiest rabbi. And so she opened the door, and she thought the rabbi was going to be there, but it wasn't the rabbi at the door. But because Baba Bryna couldn't see so well, it was hard for her to notice. And she said, "Rabbi, how nice to see you." And the bear said, "Rrr." And she said, "Happy Hanukkah to you, Rabbi. Please come in." And old bear came into the house, and he shook all of the snow from his fur. Baba Bryna said, "Rabbi, let me help you with your coat." "Oh, Rabbi, your coat is so thick. It must be very cold outside. I hope it's not real fur, because the PETA people will be very upset about that." Baba Bryna tugged at the bear's fur. "Rrr," old bear roared. "Oh, you want to leave your coat on, Rabbi? That's just fine. It is a bit chilly in here. Come on into the kitchen. I've set a table for our Hanukkah dinner." Old bear followed Baba Bryna into the kitchen. The delicious smells made his nose twitch. I'm starting to feel like I'm sounding like young Frankenstein, which is not really what I'm going for, but it's the best bear sound I think I can muster up. "Thank you, Rabbi. How kind of you to say that. The latkes will taste even better than they smell." Old bear followed his nose to the oven. "Rabbi," Baba Bryna said, "I'm surprised at you. You know, we're not going to eat until we light the Chanukiah." "Well, that's all right. I know you were just teasing. I'll light the Chanukiah. Will you say the blessings, Rabbi?" Baba Bryna struck the match, and she lit the shamas candle, and she lit one for the first night, and the second, and the third, and old bear muttered and growled. "Who has kept us," she said, "and preserved us, and sustained us, and brought us to this season. Oh, Rabbi, you say the blessings so beautifully." Baba Bryna pulled out a chair, and old bear sat down, and Baba Bryna said, "Why don't we play dreidel and have some nuts before we have our latkes?" And old bear's nose twitched, and he cracked a nut in his teeth. "Rabbi, you won't have any nuts left over for our game of dreidel if you eat them all right now," growled old bear. "Don't worry," Baba Bryna said, "I have more nuts if you need them." And then she gave the dreidel a spin, and old bear sniffed at the top as it whirled around, and it stopped on the letter Nun. Nothing. "We spin again," Baba Bryna said, and this time it stopped on the letter Gimel. "I win," Baba Bryna said, and she pulled all of the nuts and put them into her apron. Old Bear roared. Don't be angry, Rabbi. It's just a game. Here, why don't you have a nut? Old Bear caught it in his paws, cracked it, and begged for more. No, Rabbi, no more nuts. It's time for dinner. Old Bear snuffled and grumbled. Bubby Bryna opened the oven door and took out a giant platter of latkes piled high, and they were steaming, and the smell was so delicious, and Old Bear's nose twitched as she set them on the table. Do you like your latkes with sour cream, Rabbi, or do you prefer jam? Said Old Bear. Jam. I thought so. That's just what I remember from previous years when you came and visited. And so she put jam on all of the latkes, and Old Bear snuffled with pleasure as he gobbled them all down. Bubby Bryna laughed. You should use a fork, Rabbi. You have jam all over your beard. She wet a towel and wiped Old Bear's face. I must tell you, Rabbi, you eat like a bear. Well, I'm hungry as a bear too, so I think I'm going to sit down and join you for some latkes. Old Bear ate and ate until all the latkes were gone, and he licked jam and sour cream from his muzzle and his paws, and he began to feel very drowsy. He yawned. His great head flopped on Bubby Bryna's lap. Rabbi, you're asleep? Who wouldn't be after such a meal? All the latkes are gone. It's time to go home, but before I ask you to have a safe journey back, I have a Hanukkah present for you, Rabbi. And she took out a red woolen scarf from the cupboard, and she wrapped it around Old Bear's neck. This scarf will keep you warm, Rabbi. On the coldest nights, I knitted it myself with my own hands. Old Bear was snoring. Old Bear shuffled to the door after he woke up. It was time to return to his den. He felt very sleepy. He growled as he ambled off into the night. He turned around one more time before he disappeared into the forest. Good night to you, Rabbi, said Bubby Bryna, and happy Hanukkah. Well, Bubby Bryna was washing the dishes when she heard another knock. She heard another knock. There was another knock. There was a knock at the door. It's captivating. I know. There was a knock at the door. I wonder who that is, Bubby Bryna said. Shalom, Bubby Bryna. All of her friends and neighbors were at the door wishing her a happy Hanukkah. Shalom, everybody, said Bubby Bryna. How nice to see you. Come in. I'm sorry, I don't have any latkes left. The rabbi was just here. He ate all of the latkes. Bubby Bryna, said the rabbi, don't you recognize me? And then the people of the town said, Bubby Bryna, the rabbi couldn't have eaten all of the latkes. He was with us at synagogue. We were just there saying our prayers. Bubby Bryna scratched her head. She was confused. Something strange is happening here. Rabbi, I think there's an imposter going around town, door to door maybe, pretending to be you and eating up all the latkes. He looked like you. He had a beard just like you. He sounded a lot like you. Just then, Esther and David, Bubby Bryna's two great-grandchildren, yelled, come, everybody, look. And people ran into the kitchen, and they found the floor covered with bear tracks. It was a bear, Bubby Bryna said, and I thought it was the rabbi. She had to sit down because she was laughing so hard. That was a very, very clever bear. Or maybe it was just a foolish Bubby Bryna. Oh well, I hope the bear will have a happy Hanukkah. I had a happy Hanukkah too, and I know you will too, my friends, but I'm gonna need your help. And so she asked everybody to pitch in, everybody to help. They went down to the cellar. Kids, ask your parents who come from the Midwest what a cellar is after services. And they went down to the cellar, and they got a big sack of potatoes, and they peeled those potatoes, and she grated the potatoes, and she added onions and garlic, and she fried up and eggs and flour, whatever else you put into. I get mine at Trader Joe's frozen, but whatever. And then she put them in the pan, and they sizzled up, and before you know it, there was latkes for everyone. Well, deep in the forest, Old Bear went back to his den. His stomach was full of potato pancakes, and his warm woolen scarf was wrapped snugly around his neck. It would be a few more months until springtime, but until then, Old Bear was having pleasant dreams of his visit to Bubby Bryna's house, of her warm hospitality, of the sweet smells of her kitchen, of the beautiful lights of the Hanukkah candles. And as he went to sleep, he was a very, very, very happy bear. Happy Hanukkah to all of us, to all of you. Thank you, Maestro. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Cantor, for reminding me of what a great story this is. There are so many joyous opportunities we have to celebrate. And so after services, you can think about some of the beautiful messages of the story of Bubby Bryna and Old Bear and the rabbi and the townspeople. But one of the most beautiful things we get to do every Friday night is celebrate with Kiddush, and we love to ask people to share some of their joyous moments in their life. So is there anyone who's celebrating a birthday this week? If so, I'd like to ask the birthday boy or girl to please stand up. Anyone have a birthday this week? Nobody? No birthdays? Extremely improbable. I think someone might have a birthday, but refuses to admit it. We do have a birthday? Yeah, but not so willing to get up. Okay, no problem. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Keep it cool. How about, happy birthday. Thank you. How about, thank you, Robin. How about an anniversary? Anyone celebrating a wedding anniversary? Dating anniversary? Yeah? Okay. How about we all stand for Kiddush? Because we all have something good that happened to us sometime, somewhere, someplace. Cantors, please come forward. Rabbi Wasnika, come on up. Rabbi Laufer, come on up. Page 5. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam.
Peri hagafen, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho, v'yava uvratzon inchilanu, zikaron lematzeh, v'reishit.
Ki hu
Yom Techilah Lemikra Kodesh Zecher Yitziat Mitzrayim Ki Yavanu V'Amarta Ve'otanu Kidasha Mikol Ha'amim V'Shabbat Koshecha Ve'ava V'Ratzon Invaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
L'chaim.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ.
Please be seated. You know, Aleinu, especially that setting, it's so joyous at the end. There's so much excitement, and there's something messianic about it. We're praying for a day when all humanity will understand that there is this oneness to the world. And that's the joy that we feel at the end of Aleinu L'Shabbat. And then we transition to Kaddish Yatom. And sometimes it feels a little jarring, but the truth is there should be a touch of joy even in the midst of the sadness of Kaddish Yatom, because the pain that we feel when we think about loved ones whom we wish could be here with us, the reason we have that pain is because of the joy that their lives brought us, and because sometimes of the gift of life that they gave us. And so there's the sadness, but there's a bit of joy in that moment as well. On page 294, we can find the words of Kaddish Yatom, this prayer of praise to God for the gift of life. If you're in a period of Shiva or Shloshim, I'd like to invite you to please rise now. And if you're in a first year of mourning for a loved one, please rise. If this Shabbat is the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of a loved one, please rise. After services, as we gather for Oneg, maybe you can reach out to the people you see standing and ask them if they care to share a memory of a loved one. If it's your custom to stand in solidarity with all the mourners, please rise now. And on page 294, we'll give thanks to God for the gift of life. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba b'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei chol beit Yisrael ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'alam ulamei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who makes peace in heaven make peace for us and for all Israel and all humanity as we say amen. Be seated. We hope on your way in you got a copy of the Eyes on Wise. It tells you about some of the exciting things we have coming up. Next week we have our Soulful Shabbat at 8 p.m. and you can join us for dinner beforehand. You can just RSVP for that. We have some wonderful events coming up in our Center for Jewish Life and all sorts of great things that you can find on our website. Words of gratitude to members of our primary choir and others who joined us for services and shared their voices. Thank you, Aiden, and thank you, Natalia, and thank you, everybody, for being part of our service, Charlene and Lila and the whole crew. And we also want to thank our incredible soulful band, Yaron and Larry and Jeff and our maestro. Thank you so much, members of our staff who are here helping to welcome everybody, and members of our security team who are here helping to keep us all safe. And more than anything, we want to thank you for being here. We know that just making it to the end of a week sometimes takes some energy, but when you come up here and you join us, it brings us energy. We're going to conclude Cantors with Al Hanisim, and this is a new setting by the soulful band here. And if you feel the need to stand up, and I think you will, because Hanukkah is the kind of holiday that should make you want to stand up and rejoice a little bit, right, Cantor?
And I want to give a shout out to the guy who wrote this Al Hanisim, and his name is Rabbi Yoshi Zweiback.
Let's just see if they like it, okay? Let's just see if they like it. You can stand if you want. Al Hanisim. This is a traditional setting. על הניסים ועל הפורקן ועל הגבורות, על הניסים ועל התשועות ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם the victory, the salvation, the spirits inside those heroes born. For our fathers and for our mothers, we recall this time in days of old. And for our children and for our future, your glory in thanks we shall behold. All the wonders, you hold us in your hand. Al-Hanisim, our redemption, you brought us to our land. And for our mothers, you were there for us, we don't let go. For our children, and for our future, I pray our thanks All right. Is there a chiropractor? I just absolutely pulled my hammy. Hey, everybody, stay around. We have some treats, and we have a motzi. Where's the challah?
Right here.
The challah's right here. Eddie, thank you so much. Let's join together. Kids, come close to the challah. This is a special Hanukkah challah. I think it's stuffed with oil. Let's try it. Are we ready? Chad, shtayim, shalosh.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Shabbat shalom, Chag Sameach, everybody.